Good morning. It's Tuesday. How are you? Welcome to the Better Business Workshop. I hope you're all well. Boris certainly put a bit more flesh on the bone yesterday, and I'm hoping that's certainly he's given us a bit of a timeline now as business owners and some things that we can start to work towards in terms of landmarks. Um, if you need a bit of help with getting your business restarted, we're going to be running a webinar, an online workshop, a week tomorrow. That's next Wednesday at 7 p.m. And I'll be putting all the details of that over in the Better Business Workshop Facebook group and the LinkedIn group. So all the details will be over there. It'll be a 1-hour session, and it'll be a session all about how you can start to think about getting your business restarted. And I guess some of you will also be thinking now about getting your teams back to work as well. So we're also going to be running a session on that, and I'll share the details with that over the next day or two as we start to put that program together. So 2 things coming up for you: restarting your business, a webinar around that, and also some help and support around getting your teams back to work as well. But in the meantime, today's session is described or is titled, "How do we create entrepreneurial success for ourselves?" And I'm joined by my colleague, if I can get this tech working. Where is he? There he is. Good morning, Mark. How are you? Lovely to see you today.
Yeah, morning again. You noticed I've changed my shirt here, Mark, because we're now on our way out of COVID, so I've changed from a white shirt to a check shirt. So everything's good.
How's the tomato plant?
Yeah, oh, actually, I'm looking at it now. It's smiling at me, so everything is good. Thanks for that
Good.
update, Mark.
Great. So, Mark, oh, by the way, folks, please like and share this stuff, and let's get it out to the business owners as we're starting to restart our businesses now, and come and join us over in our groups as well. Mark, today's session is all about, if we can get some slides working, how do we create entrepreneurial success for ourselves? So let's dive into this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's an awful lot of Britain is known as a nation of shopkeepers. Okay, I think was that Napoleon who said that. I don't know. I wasn't around at the time, honestly. And what tends to happen is that we get attracted with this idea of self-employment, and it's a very, very brave decision. But we can end up on a bit of a wheel, kind of keeping our business going. So the aim of this presentation today, this chat for 10 minutes, is how do we get to a stage where we're truly entrepreneurial and we've got income streams that are coming in without us having to work ourselves to death to keep the business going. So yeah,
So
that's the way we
I
go.
guess Action Coach definition of a business, Mark, is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works
Works
without
without
you,
you.
right? So
Absolutely.
that's the end game, right? That's what we're aiming for. And I guess Gerber wrote in his book E-Myth, right? He talked about how we have all of these people that are working for other people, and they're in an employed role. And actually, what they see, they think the grass is greener on the other side, and we all know that necessarily it's not necessarily the case as business owners, right? That when we shift from being employed to having our own companies, we then have to. Why do people do that? They do that because they're really good at what they do.
Yeah.
So let's get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump into it. So we kick off with we all had a job at some point. We've had a job, and then we got frustrated with a job, and we were instructed what to do. We have very little control, so we think, well, look, I'm good enough at this. I can start to do this myself, and that's the next rung of the ladder, which is a brave decision and quite a risk. And I've noticed. Actually, it's this group, isn't it, within the COVID crisis that has taken the most risk and actually had probably the least support.
Absolutely.
And it's actually the hub of all of the corporates that I've worked with are reliant on SMEs and small businesses
Yeah.
to keep going. This is the real bedrock of our culture. But yeah, if you skip to the next slide, Mark.
Absolutely. Yeah. So fundamentally, we start businesses because we're really good at what we do in our jobs.
Absolutely right. And this is an allure which gives us a sense of satisfaction and also a brilliant sense of delivery to our clients. When we begin, I did this in the early days, you begin to have your own standards, your own way of doing things. You're very, very, very proud of that, protective of that. Clients love you, and you're hugely busy because you're the one that's got the skill set that's delivering this. And quite often, this is the point of the ladder. And when I started out in business, I kind of thought that was the end point. Self-employment was the goal. And of course, I was working crazily and being successful self-employed, but had no time, had no free hours, had money, but I couldn't spend it because I had no time to spend it.
Well, essentially, when you're self-employed, you've bought yourself a job, right?
Yeah, I like that phrase.
All right. So the next phrase, then, you've got a business working, you're self-employed. The next step is you become a manager again.
Yeah, we have to set our sights that if we're self-employed, we have to start thinking ahead of employing people. If we're not thinking ahead, it won't happen naturally. We will just do more jobs and we will put people on a longer waiting list. So if we have a goal to employ people, then we're moving into the management arena, and that has got an awful lot of headaches in itself. For example, in first employee that I took on, stayed for 2-3 years, a lot of investment, and then left and moved on. I think, oh my gosh, there's like 2 or 3 years of investment to get somebody up and running. Apprenticeships are a classic. You train an apprenticeship, they move on. Train an apprenticeship, they move on. But it's a step that has to be taken. It's a goal that has to be set, that we are going to employ people. Set a date, 1 year, 2 years, 2 months. We're going to employ people or extend our employment so that you move up to the role of managing others' output.
Absolutely. All right, Mark, that's good. So next step then, once we've got some teams working for us and generating some income.
Yeah, I was saying to this before as we were preparing, Mark. Here, there's a difference between being self-employed and an owner.
Yeah.
And I thought you had a real good explanation of that. So I'm going to duck out here and pass right over to you and say,
Yeah.
what's your explanation?
Well,
I thought that was really good.
Well, the difference between being an owner and being self-employed is that when you're self-employed, you're doing all the work. When you're an owner, you're earning income from others' work. And that's fundamentally the difference, right?
Absolutely. And this is the exit plan stage. And it took me a long time. In a 22-year company, it took me 15 years to think about exiting. I should have thought about it in the first year, Mark. Yeah. I didn't. I thought about exiting after 15 years thinking, I can't do this forever. How am I going to get out? So having now become an owner, i.e. the business is running without me, then that's a good place to be, though you're still keeping your eye on it, still getting involved. But that was the hugest step. Starting a business is tough. Being a manager is slightly tougher. But stepping out of it, that's really, really tough.
But fundamentally, and you've hit a great point there, Mark, actually, when we start our business, the first thing we should be thinking about is what's our exit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because otherwise, all we've done is created a job for ourselves. The whole point of taking all of the risk ourselves is so that we prosper, right? And we have a business that we can exit from, a commercially profitable enterprise that can work without us and provide us with the lifestyle that we're looking for. And that's the whole point of taking all of that risk, I guess, ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. An exit strategy is absolutely paramount. If you don't think about it, it's paramount, because if we don't think about it, it won't happen. And we will just keep working and then wondering, how do I get out of this? How do I do less work?
All right. So next rung on the ladder, we've now got a business that's working without us. What comes next?
So this is the stage at which we're starting to think of wealth instead of income. Yeah. And we're starting to say to ourselves, now I'm an owner, I need to use my time to invest in activities, enterprises, property, in financial schemes that are going to give me an income of themselves, by and of themselves. A lot of people I know have gone into property. That's a classic thing, or they've gone into rental properties. Others have invested on the stock market. Whatever presses your buttons, it's an investment thought. How do I not rely just on this business, but how do I use the income from this business to invest in sources that are risk spread to give me a permanent income?
Good. And I guess, Mark, another book tip, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, right? The difference between Rich Dad and Poor Dad is that Poor Dad goes to work to earn money from doing work. Rich Dad goes to work to create assets, right? So your point from an investment point of view is what should we be doing as a business owner? The first thing we should be investing in is more business. Invest more in our business, right? Because that's what generates cash. It's the best source of generating cash flow. The next thing, once we've got cash flow, we can then generate in fixed assets like property, right? Because that's a kind of a good long-term investment. But surely, the highest level of investment actually is things like the stock market, and you've got to kind of know what you're doing there. So high reward, but also high risk as well.
Yeah, and with investment, you spread risk. That's the whole point of investment strategies. Now, the point I'm making, I think, is when I started working for myself, I thought of myself as self-employed, and that was it. I should have been thinking of myself of reaching the stage of investment.
Good.
And
Good.
that would have pulled me through that ladder a lot quicker.
Great, Mark. So the final step then is truly becoming an entrepreneur. And you had some thoughts about a lot of people when they
Yeah.
start their business, they become self-employed. They think of themselves as being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, and I think you've summarized it really well earlier, Mark, when you said self-employment. You bought yourself a job. You're not entrepreneurial. You haven't got the time. So what an entrepreneur is smart enough to be self-sufficient financially, but then from that base, doesn't need the money, then has choices about where to set up new enterprises or
Yeah.
to assist new enterprises. And the biggest thing that I found with most people who are reaching this stage is they want to give something back.
Yeah.
They really want to give something back into society, into culture somehow, either charity work or setting up schemes to assist people or help people. And that real underlying drive, you haven't got a lot of time to do on the way up this ladder. But now you can reap the rewards of that and give something right back to society if that's what you want to do.
And I guess the true definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who creates investment opportunities for others.
Good point.
Ultimately, right?
Good
All
point.
right, Mark, it's been brilliant to see you. Thank you for helping us go through the entrepreneurial ladder. Folks, look, if that's pricked some thought, then there's lots of ways for you to get in contact with us. There's a ton of content over in the Better Business Workshop, and you can join those communities either on Facebook or LinkedIn. By the way, all the details of those programs that we've got coming up, the online workshop next Wednesday for restarting your business, the details of that will be over in those groups as well, and also how we get your teams back to work. We'll post some details for that there as well. You can also, if you want to come and book a hot seat with us, and if there's something you just want to talk through, it's completely complimentary. Come and join us, book a session at calendly.com/action coach Milton Keynes. And there's also a ton of content over on YouTube and on the website as well on Action Coach Milton Keynes. So have a look for that. Mark, it's been absolutely brilliant to see you today. Wishing you a great day. Good luck with the tomato plants.
And my new check shirt. I'll be proudly wearing this all day. So.
And your new check shirt. Absolutely. Folks, we've been the Better Business Workshop. We'll be here again at 8 a.m. tomorrow, as we are every day. And we'll look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Thanks, Mark. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody.